Imagine this. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, under a canopy of whispering leaves and the distant calls of exotic birds, a man ingests a potent psychedelic brew. Visions flood his mind, not just hallucinations, but glimpses of something profound, something that could rewrite our understanding of time itself. What if ancient Chinese wisdom, encoded in the I Ching, held the key to predicting the future? Not through vague prophecies, but through a mathematical fractal that maps the ebb and flow of history's chaos, culminating in a singularity on December 21st, 2012. A date etched in cultural memory, tied to Mayan calendars and apocalyptic fears. But why? Why does this bizarre numerological transform produce a waveform that seemingly anticipates wars, inventions, and societal upheavals? Today, on Unexplained History, we dive into the enigma of Terence McKenna's Time Wave Zero, a theory that blends psychedelics, ancient oracles, and futuristic prophecy. Is it a cosmic truth or a mind-bending illusion? Stay with us. This is Tom Mackenzie, and you are listening to Unexplained History. If you are enjoying this show, make sure to subscribe on all major platforms like Apple, Spotify, and Spreaker. And if you want more unexplained content, swing by our website at unexplained.co. Picture the scene. It's the early 1970s, and Terence McKenna, a young ethnobotanist with a mane of wild hair and eyes alight with curiosity, ventures into the heart of the Amazon. The air is thick with humidity, the scent of damp earth and exotic flowers mingling with the smoke from a shaman's fire. He and his brother Dennis partake in ayahuasca, that ancient brew of visions, and something extraordinary happens. Amid the swirling colors and fractal patterns exploding in their minds, Terence perceives a structure, a waveform, undulating like a serpent through time. It's not random, it's mathematical, derived from the I Ching, that venerable book of changes with its 64 hexagrams, each a snapshot of cosmic balance. But Terence doesn't stop at interpretation. He transforms these hexagrams numerologically, assigning values, plotting them into a graph that reveals a fractal pattern, a self-similar wave of novelty, where peaks represent stability and troughs herald bursts of innovation, chaos, and change. Imagine the thrill, the electric buzz in his veins as he realizes this wave maps onto human history. The fall of Rome, the Renaissance, the atomic bomb, all fitting like pieces in a grand unfolding puzzle. And the wave descends, accelerating towards zero, a singularity where novelty becomes infinite. The date, December 21st, 2012. Not chosen arbitrarily, but emerging from the math itself, syncing eerily with the end of the Mayan long count calendar. Was this coincidence or something deeper, a bridge between ancient wisdoms? Terence documents it all in books like The Invisible Landscape and True Hallucinations. His words painting vivid scenes of psychedelic journeys where time folds like origami, revealing hidden patterns. Collaborator Peter J. Meyer turns it into software, the TimeWave program, allowing anyone to overlay this fractal on history, watching as wars and discoveries align with uncanny precision. But here's the mystery that lingers, thick as jungle mist. Why? Why should a numerological tweak of an ancient oracle produce a graph that predicts historical novelty? Skeptics dismissed it as pseudoscience, a product of drug-fueled fancy, yet believers saw prophecy, a foretelling of technological singularity, where AI and human consciousness merge in explosive evolution. The theory rises in the 90s counterculture, falls amid Y2K apathy and the uneventful passing of 2012, but the questions persist. Feel the suspense building, the heartbeat quickening as we ponder. Was Time Wave Zero a glimpse of true cosmic architecture, or a beautiful contested illusion born from the mind's deepest recesses? The air grows charged, electric with possibility. What an intriguing hook into one of history's most mind-bending theories. We've teased the mystery of Time Wave Zero, its psychedelic origins, and the unexplained fractal that points to 2012. But to truly understand, we need to go back to the roots. Next, we will travel back to the specific era to set the scene. The vibrant, turbulent 1970s Amazon, where it all began. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Unexplained History. In this segment, we journey to the heart of the Amazon in the early 1970s, a time when the counterculture was pushing the boundaries of consciousness. Picture a world untouched by modernity, where ancient forests whisper secrets to those daring enough to listen. This is where Terence McKenna's psychedelic odyssey began, planting the seeds for what would become his revolutionary novelty theory. Let's dive in. The year is 1971. The Amazon rainforest stretches out like an endless green ocean, its canopy a tangled web of vines and leaves that blot out the sun. Humidity clings to your skin like a second layer, thick and unrelenting, while the air hums with the ceaseless symphony of insects, birds, and distant howler monkeys. Rivers carve through the undergrowth, their waters murky and alive with unseen creatures, piranhas gliding silently below the surface, anacondas coiled in the shadows. This is not a place for the faint of heart. It's a realm where the line between reality and myth blurs, where indigenous tribes have lived for millennia, guardians of ancient knowledge passed down through generations. Shamans chant under starlit skies, invoking spirits with brews made from sacred plants. Ayahuasca, the vine of the soul, and psilocybin mushrooms that sprout like forgotten treasures from the forest floor. Into this wild expanse steps Terence McKenna, a young ethnobotanist fueled by the countercultural fire of the 1960s. He's not alone. His brother Dennis, a budding scientist, joins him on this quest. They're seekers, driven by a burning curiosity to explore the outer limits of human perception. The era is electric with change. Vietnam protests rage back home, rock music pulses with rebellion, and minds are opening to Eastern philosophies and psychedelic experiences. Timothy Leary's mantra of "turn on, tune in, drop out" echoes in their thoughts as they trek deeper into the jungle, backpacks laden with notebooks, tape recorders, and a determination to uncover the mysteries of hallucinogenic plants. The air smells of damp earth and blooming orchids, mingled with the faint, acrid scent of campfires from nearby Witoto villages. Here, the brothers encounter indigenous people whose lives are intertwined with the forest's rhythms. Hunters with blowguns, weavers crafting baskets from palm fibers, and elders sharing stories of jaguar spirits and river gods. Their experiments begin under the cover of night, far from the prying eyes of the outside world. Terence and Dennis prepare potent doses of psilocybin mushrooms, harvested from cow pastures on the jungle's edge. As the fungi take hold, the familiar world dissolves. Colors intensify. The greens of the leaves pulse with an inner light. The river's flow becomes a symphony of liquid silver. Visions unfold like blooming flowers, fractal patterns dancing in the air, ancient symbols etched into the bark of trees, voices whispering from the void. Terence describes it in his book True Hallucinations, a merging with the Gaian mind, where time folds in on itself and novelty, pure, unbridled creativity, erupts from the chaos. Emotions surge, awe at the interconnectedness of all things, terror at the dissolution of the self, euphoria as boundaries shatter. Dennis, ever the rationalist, scribbles notes even as his perceptions warp, bridging science and mysticism in this psychedelic crucible. These journeys are more than mere trips. They're profound explorations of consciousness. In the humid embrace of the Amazon, amidst the calls of toucans and the rustle of unseen animals, the brothers glimpse something revolutionary. Novelty isn't just innovation. It's the universe's drive toward complexity, revealed in hallucinatory flashes. Indigenous shamans guide them partially, sharing Yage ceremonies where the vine's visions reveal hidden realms. The psychological impact is immense. Terence emerges transformed, his philosophy forever altered by these encounters with the other. The countercultural spirit fuels their boldness, no fear of societal norms, only a thirst for truth buried in the plant kingdom. As dawn breaks over the canopy, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, the seeds of Time Wave Zero are sown. Insights that will evolve into a theory challenging our understanding of time itself. What an immersive glimpse into the origins of Terence McKenna's mind-bending ideas. From the steamy depths of the Amazon, these experiences laid the groundwork for novelty theory. But how did they transform into the structured concept of Time Wave Zero? Stay tuned as we explore the first major event in this enigmatic timeline. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back, listeners. We've set the stage with the historical whispers of ancient wisdom and modern minds colliding. Now, let's dive into the heart of it, the moment when novelty theory began to take shape. Picture a time of radical exploration, where the boundaries of consciousness were pushed to their limits. It all culminates in 1975, with a book that would challenge everything we know about time itself. In the humid, vine-choked jungles of the Amazon, where the air hangs thick with the scent of earth and decay, two brothers, Terence and Dennis McKenna, embarked on a journey that would blur the lines between science, mysticism, and madness. It was the early 1970s, an era pulsing with countercultural energy. The Vietnam War raged in the background, while at home, minds were expanding under the influence of psychedelics. The McKennas, driven by an insatiable curiosity, delved deep into the world of hallucinogenic plants. Imagine the scene: flickering lantern light in a remote shamanic hut, the bitter taste of ayahuasca lingering on the tongue, visions unfolding like fractals in the mind's eye. These experiences weren't mere trips. They were portals to profound insights. Terence, with his sharp intellect and poetic flair, began to synthesize these psychedelic revelations with ancient texts. His gaze turned to the I Ching, that enigmatic Chinese oracle, a book of changes revered for millennia. The I Ching, with its 64 hexagrams, each composed of 6 lines, broken or unbroken, seemed to echo the binary code of the universe itself. But it was the King Wen sequence, that specific ordering of the hexagrams, that captivated Terence. In the haze of post-psychedelic reflection, he saw patterns, connections that others might dismiss as coincidence. What if this ancient arrangement wasn't random? What if it mapped the ebb and flow of time? Fueled by this revelation, Terence and Dennis retreated to their intellectual laboratory, a blend of feverish notes, scattered books, and the lingering echoes of visionary states. They transformed the 64 hexagrams into a sequence of 384 line changes, applying numerical transforms that twisted and folded like the branches of a cosmic tree. From this alchemy emerged a fractal waveform, a mathematical serpent coiling through history, charting peaks and valleys of novelty. Novelty, in McKenna's burgeoning theory, wasn't just newness, it was the density of change, the acceleration of complexity in the universe. The intellectual ferment was palpable. Conversations stretched late into the night, filled with the aroma of incense and herbal teas, ideas bouncing like sparks from a fire. Unconventional thinking reigned supreme. They drew from quantum physics, Eastern philosophy, and the raw power of entheogens. Terence's mind connected the dots. Historical events aligned with the waveform's dips into novelty. Inventions, revolutions, cataclysms, all part of a grand fractal pattern. It was as if time itself was a living entity, breathing in cycles of innovation and stasis. This nascent theory, wild and untested, found its first public expression in 1975 with the publication of The Invisible Landscape by the McKenna brothers. The book was a manifesto of sorts, outlining the early ideas of time as a wave, novelty as its currency, and the I Ching as the key to decoding it all. Readers were invited into a world where psychedelics unlocked the secrets of temporality, where the fractal nature of reality promised a singularity of infinite novelty on the horizon. What an extraordinary genesis, from jungle visions to a fractal map of time. But this was just the beginning. As the theory took hold, events would escalate, drawing in more minds and challenging the very fabric of reality. Stay with us as we explore the escalation of this enigmatic event in the next segment. Welcome back, listeners. We've just scratched the surface of the initial incident, but now things start to escalate. Imagine a wave of novelty crashing through history, pulling in minds from the counterculture fringes. This is where Time Wave Zero begins to pulse with chaotic energy, drawing fascination and doubt in equal measure. Let's dive into the high strangeness. The late 1980s, a time when the digital revolution was just flickering to life, intertwined with the lingering haze of psychedelic exploration. Picture dimly lit rooms filled with the hum of early computers, the air thick with incense and the scent of solder. It was here, around 1987, that Peter J. Meyer, a mathematician and software wizard, breathed life into Terence McKenna's wild theory. Meyer crafted an early software implementation, a digital oracle that visualized the time wave. Lines of code danced across screens, plotting the ebbs and flows of novelty, turning abstract philosophy into something you could see, touch, almost feel, pulsing under your fingertips. The waveform twisted like a serpent, dipping into valleys of habit and spiking into peaks of pure, unpredictable change. Enthusiasts gathered in underground meetings, their eyes wide with wonder as the software revealed patterns in history's chaos. But this was no mere toy. It was a map to the end of time itself. As the 1990s dawned, the energy intensified. Terence McKenna, with his charismatic fervor, took to lecture halls and festivals, his voice a whirlwind of mysticism and intellect. Imagine packed auditoriums, the air electric with anticipation, as McKenna paced the stage, gesturing wildly, his words painting visions of apocalyptic transformation. He linked time wave zero to the culturally loaded date of 2012, aligning its 0 point with the end of the Mayan long count calendar. The end is near, he'd proclaim, not in doom, but in ecstatic promise. A singularity where novelty would explode, reshaping reality. Crowds leaned forward, hearts racing, caught in the chaotic mix of hope and dread. Skeptics scoffed from the shadows, dismissing it as pseudoscience, but the fascination spread like wildfire through counterculture circles. Tech enthusiasts, mystics, and seekers alike buzzed with excitement, debating late into the night under neon lights and starry skies. McKenna didn't stop at prophecies. He mapped history to the wave's rhythms, creating a tense narrative of human evolution. Feel the chill as he pointed to deep novelty dips and spikes. The 1945 atomic bomb, a cataclysmic plunge into destruction, its mushroom cloud echoing in the waveform's valleys. Then, the Renaissance, a spike of creative fury, artists and inventors bursting forth like stars igniting. The Industrial Revolution churned with mechanical might, gears grinding in sync with rising novelty. Even the discovery of DNA twisted into the pattern, a helical revelation unlocking life's secrets. And closer to home, the psychedelic and digital revolutions, waves of consciousness expansion crashing against the shores of the mundane. It was a chaotic tapestry, blending tech's cold precision with mysticism's fiery passion, stirring emotions from awe to outright fear. Public attention swelled. Articles whispered of impending doom or utopia, while online forums erupted in frantic debates. Yet, amidst the enthusiasm, skepticism grew. Scientists poked holes, calling it numerology dressed in fractal finery. The air crackled with tension, a storm of belief and doubt brewing on the horizon. What a whirlwind of ideas and energies. Time Wave Zero wasn't just a theory anymore. It was a movement, pulling in minds eager for change. But who were the key figures driving this escalation? Stay with us as we uncover the people behind the mystery in our next segment. Behind every revolutionary idea, there are the visionaries who breathe life into it. In the world of Time Wave Zero, these are the players who turned a psychedelic insight into a global phenomenon. Let's meet the minds that shaped this enigmatic theory. Picture a man wandering the lush, mist-shrouded rainforests of the Amazon, his mind ablaze with visions from ancient plants. This was Terence McKenna, the charismatic ethnobotanist and psychedelic philosopher whose ideas would ripple through counterculture like a stone tossed into a still pond. Born in 1946 in Colorado, Terence was a voracious reader from a young age, devouring science fiction and esoteric texts that fueled his insatiable curiosity. But it was his journey to La Chorrera in 1971, alongside his brother Dennis, that ignited the spark for Time Wave Zero. Under the influence of potent psychedelics, Terence experienced what he called a transcendent revelation, a mathematical model of time's novelty, rising and falling like waves in an ocean of consciousness. His personality was magnetic, a silver-tongued orator with a wild mane of hair and eyes that sparkled with otherworldly intensity. He lectured tirelessly, blending humor, philosophy, and radical ideas, motivating seekers to question reality itself. Terence wasn't just a thinker, he was a bard of the bizarre, painting vivid portraits of hyperspace elves and machine intelligence in his books like The Archaic Revival and True Hallucinations. His role in Time Wave Zero was pivotal. He conceptualized it, preached it, and made it accessible to the masses. By Terence's side stood his brother, Dennis McKenna, the steadfast collaborator and fellow explorer of inner realms. Born just a few years after Terence in 1950, Dennis shared his siblings' passion for botany and altered states, but with a more grounded, scientific bent. Trained as an ethnopharmacologist, Dennis brought rigor to their adventures, documenting plant species and their effects with meticulous detail. In the humid depths of the Amazon, it was Dennis who helped refine the experiments that led to Terence's time wave epiphany. His motivations were rooted in a deep respect for nature's pharmacy, believing psychedelics held keys to healing and understanding the human mind. Quieter than his flamboyant brother, Dennis's personality was that of the supportive sage, reliable, insightful, and ever curious. He co-authored works with Terence and continued research long after, becoming a respected voice in psychedelic science. Without Dennis, the raw chaos of Terence's visions might never have found structure. Together, they formed a dynamic duo, pushing boundaries in a haze of incense and intellectual fervor. Enter Peter J. Meyer, the programmer who transformed ethereal concepts into tangible code. A mathematician and software wizard, Meyer encountered the McKenna's ideas in the 1980s and saw potential in digitizing the time wave. With a background in computer science and an interest in fringe theories, he developed the software that plotted the wave's novelty graph, allowing anyone to explore its predictions. Meyer's motivations were intellectual, a fascination with patterns in chaos and the I Ching's ancient wisdom. His personality was precise and analytical, a counterpoint to Terence's poetic flair, yet he shared the same rebellious spirit against mainstream science. Through his work, Time Wave Zero spread via floppy disks and early internet forums, captivating a new generation. But not all were enchanted. Critics like journalist John Horgan dismissed it as pseudoscience, mocking McKenna's stoned ape theories in publications like Scientific American. Technical reviewers, such as those from Formulab, poked holes in the math, calling it arbitrary and unfalsifiable. Despite this, the theory endured. From visionary brothers to digital pioneers and vocal critics, these figures brought time wave zero to life and sparked endless debate. But what happened when authorities took notice? Next, we delve into the official investigation. Stay tuned. Welcome back, listeners. We've just explored the intriguing minds behind Time Wave Zero, those visionary figures like Terence McKenna who wove together ancient calendars and fractal mathematics into a tapestry of impending transformation. But what happens when such bold ideas face the cold light of scrutiny? In this segment, we delve into the official report, the academic and intellectual dissections that sought to unravel the theory's claims. Picture dusty university halls, scholars poring over equations under flickering fluorescent lights, their pens scratching against paper as they probe for truth amid the mysticism. Let's examine how historians, mathematicians, and critics approached Time Wave Zero, treating it not as prophecy, but as a puzzle to be solved, or perhaps debunked. In the quiet corridors of academia, where the air hangs heavy with the scent of aged books and polished wood, the theory of Time Wave Zero underwent its most rigorous trials. It wasn't a courtroom drama, but rather a procedural autopsy performed by skeptics armed with logic and data. Historians were among the first to question the foundations, eyeing McKenna's linkage to the Mayan long count calendar with suspicion. They argued that the 2012 end date was not a fixed point of apocalypse in ancient lore, but a cultural artifact often misinterpreted by modern enthusiasts. Imagine a professor in a tweed jacket, leaning over a cluttered desk, murmuring to himself as he cross-references Mayan codices, the pages whispering secrets of cycles, not cataclysms. These scholars pointed out that McKenna's interpretation seemed more a product of 20th century psychedelia than rigorous historical analysis, retrofitting ancient wisdom to fit a contemporary narrative of novelty and change. Mathematicians, too, entered the fray, their critiques as precise as scalpel incisions. Groups like Formulab, known for their technical dissections of fringe theories, published detailed analyses that expose the arbitrary nature of the wave's construction. Picture a dimly lit computer lab, screens glowing with graphs and algorithms, as analysts traced the mathematical steps, from the King Wen sequence of the I Ching to the fractal mapping onto historical timelines. They highlighted how the model's parameters could be flexibly scaled, allowing apparent correlations to emerge not from predictive power, but from cherry-picking data points. It was indescribable, the way patterns seemed to align only when viewed through a lens of confirmation bias. Critics noted that the theory's claims lacked falsifiability, a cornerstone of scientific inquiry, making it more akin to pseudoscience than provable hypothesis. As the calendar pages turned toward December 21st, 2012, anticipation built in circles of believers, but in scholarly realms, the mood was one of detached observation. The date arrived amid global watch parties and doomsday preppers, yet the predicted singularity, a point of infinite novelty where history would collapse into transformation, simply didn't materialize. No apocalyptic upheaval, no radical shift in human consciousness. The world spun on, unchanged, leaving admirers to reinterpret the theory, perhaps shifting the endpoint or reframing it as a metaphorical evolution rather than a literal event. Academics, however, saw this as the ultimate debunking. In post-2012 critiques, mainstream science rejected time-wave zero outright, citing its unfalsifiable nature. How could one prove or disprove a wave that flexed to fit any outcome? This scrutiny drew parallels to other belief systems evaluated in scholarly fields. Think of astrology's star charts or alchemy's elusive philosopher's stone. In hushed conference rooms, filled with the faint hum of projectors and the rustle of notes, experts compared time wave to these, noting how they persist through charisma and selective evidence, yet crumble under empirical pressure. The emotional weight was palpable. For some, it was disappointment, the fading echo of a grand vision. For critics, a quiet satisfaction in upholding rational inquiry. Yet even in this dry procedural tone, one senses the undercurrent of human fascination. Why do we cling to such models, mapping chaos onto graphs as if to tame the unknown?
We've delved into the eerie investigations surrounding time wave zero. But now, let's sharpen our focus. What if this fractal prophecy is nothing more than smoke and mirrors? Join me as we turn a rational eye on Terence McKenna's bold claims, dissecting them with the cold precision of science. It's time to question the numbers and see if they truly add up.
Imagine a dimly lit study, the air thick with the scent of old books and cooling coffee. A skeptic leans over scattered papers, graphs of history's ebbs and flows marked in sharp red ink. This is the realm of critical analysis, where time wave zero faces its harshest light. At its core, McKenna's theory claims that history follows a fractal wave, derived from the I Ching's hexagrams, mapping novelty, those moments of radical change, across time. But skeptics argue it's an arbitrary construct built on numerological sands. Picture the frustration building, brows furrowing, as experts like mathematician Matthew Watkins pore over the equations. In his critiques, Watkins calls it pseudo-mathematics, pointing out how McKenna selectively mapped historical events to fit the wave's dips and peaks. Why this event and not that one? The choices seem convenient, retrospective, like forcing puzzle pieces into place after the picture is already drawn. There's no rigorous justification for why the I Ching's 384-day cycles should fractalize into a universal timeline. It's as if the numbers were chosen, not discovered. The room grows tense, the skeptic's pen scratching furiously. Central to the objection is the lack of falsifiability, a cornerstone of scientific methodology, as philosopher Karl Popper defined it. A theory must be testable, capable of being proven wrong. But time wave zero? Its predictions are vague, open to interpretation. When the prophesied singularity of 2012 arrived, that infinite novelty point where history supposedly ended, nothing cataclysmic happened. No apocalypse, no transcendence, just another day. McKenna's followers might retrofit explanations, claiming subtle shifts in consciousness, but that's confirmation bias at work, seeing only what supports your belief, ignoring the rest. Feel the weight of disappointment, the echo of unfulfilled hype. Critics like John Sheliak highlight how the wave's parameters were tweaked post hoc to align with events, weakening its predictive power. In contrast, true science demands blind predictions, forecasts made before the fact, not after. Numerology, they say, thrives on patterns humans impose on chaos, much like seeing faces in clouds. The emotional pull is there, the allure of hidden order in a messy world. But strip away the mysticism, and you're left with arbitrary mappings lacking empirical backbone. As the skeptic pushes back from the desk, a sense of clarity cuts through the haze. Documented critiques abound. Physicist Peter Meyer, once a collaborator, later distanced himself, noting the software's outputs were more art than science. Quotes from skeptics ring sharp. It's a Rorschach test for history, one says, where believers project their narratives onto the wave's curves. The contrast with scientific method is stark. Hypotheses tested rigorously, peer-reviewed, replicated. Time wave zero evades this, floating in a realm of unfalsifiable claims. Yet, there's a tinge of reluctant admiration for McKenna's creativity, a brilliant mind weaving psychedelics and math into a cosmic tapestry. But admiration doesn't equal validity. The rational eye sees through the fractal illusion, revealing a theory that's provocative, but ultimately unproven.
There you have it, the skeptical blade cutting through the veil of time wave zero, exposing its flaws under analytical scrutiny. But what if there's more to it? What if the wave hides truths beyond science's grasp? Up next, we explore the paranormal theories that keep this mystery alive. Stay tuned. The unknown beckons. We've just explored the skeptical side of Terence McKenna's Time Wave Zero, the cold logic that dismisses it as pseudoscience or flawed math. But what if there's more? What if the time wave isn't just a theory, but a glimpse into something profound, something that pulses beneath the surface of reality? Let's step into the unknown, where believers see not apocalypse, but transformation. Imagine the fabric of time itself, woven like an intricate fractal, repeating patterns that spiral inward, growing ever more complex with each twist. This is the heart of Time Wave Zero for those who believe in its deeper truth. Not a mere mathematical curiosity, but a revelation, a map of novelty coursing through history. Picture it, moments of great change, like the fall of empires or the birth of the internet, aren't random. They're peaks in a wave, surges of innovation and upheaval that build towards something immense. Terence McKenna didn't see this as coincidence. He drew from ancient wisdom, the I Ching, with its hexagrams whispering of change, and fused it with chaos theory, unveiling a pattern that echoes the universe's own geometry. Fractals in nature, the branching of rivers, the veins in a leaf. Why not in time? As you listen, feel the eerie pull of it, the sense that history isn't linear, but a living, breathing entity folding in on itself.
At the wave's end, in December 2012, skeptics awaited doomsday, but believers knew better. This wasn't about physical destruction. No, it was a qualitative singularity, a point where novelty reaches infinity, where human consciousness evolves beyond the material world. Think of it as a cosmic rebirth, the shedding of old paradigms, like a caterpillar dissolving into a butterfly. The Mayan calendar's alignment wasn't arbitrary. It synced with McKenna's wave, symbolizing a collective awakening. Paranormal interpreters see unseen forces at play, perhaps the universe's intelligence guiding us toward enlightenment. Feel the mystery envelop you, the chill of realizing that every historical event, from the Renaissance to quantum discoveries, was a step in this dance of increasing complexity. It's poetic, isn't it? Not an end, but a threshold, a doorway to higher dimensions where time compresses and possibilities explode. In this view, 2012 marked not catastrophe, but a subtle shift, a transformation in how we perceive reality, spirituality, and our place in the cosmos. Contrast this with the skeptic's dismissal, and the allure deepens. Here, in the believer's realm, time wave zero evokes spiritual significance, a call to ponder if history is orchestrated by deeper, unseen patterns. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, waves crashing with rhythmic fury, each one building on the last. That's the time wave, eerie, open-minded, inviting you to question. What if we're on the cusp of something transcendent? The air thickens with possibility, the whisper of ancient prophecies blending with modern psychedelia. It's not about proof. It's about the journey inward, the evolution of the soul. As the wave crests, humanity might awaken to unity, creativity unbound, a fractal flowering of consciousness. Let it linger in your mind, the mystery, the wonder, the quiet thrill of what could be. From mathematical maps to mystical transformations, Time Wave Zero continues to captivate those open to the unknown. But its impact doesn't end with theories. It echoes through culture in ways you might not expect. Up next, we explore the cultural legacy of this enigmatic idea. Stay tuned. As the clock struck midnight on December 21st, 2012, the world held its breath, but nothing happened. No cataclysm, no ascension, just another day. Yet, Terence McKenna's Time Wave Zero didn't fade into oblivion. It lingers, a spectral echo in the corridors of modern thought. Join us as we explore the aftermath, the enduring legacy of a theory that defied its own end date. Imagine the quiet disappointment of that winter morning in 2012. The sun rising as usual, the skies clear and unremarkable. For many, Time Wave Zero had promised a cosmic climax, a singularity where history would fold upon itself like a wilting flower. But as the date passed without incident, the theory didn't crumble, it transformed. Admirers, undeterred, began to reinterpret McKenna's fractal waveforms, suggesting perhaps the wave had crested subtly in the undercurrents of global consciousness rather than overt apocalypse. Online forums buzzed with debates, threads weaving new meanings into the old graph, a digital mysticism rising from the ashes of expectation. Picture dimly lit rooms where enthusiasts, eyes glazed from hours at screens, pore over McKenna's lectures, their voices hushed in reverence, the air thick with the scent of incense and herbal teas, echoes of psychedelic trips long past. Time Wave Zero became a cultural touchstone, not for its accuracy, but for its audacity, a bridge between ancient wisdom and futuristic speculation. This influence seeped into broader realms, like tendrils of mist creeping through a forest at dawn. In New Age thought, McKenna's ideas fueled discussions on collective evolution, blending I Ching philosophy with quantum possibilities. Digital mysticism flourished, with apps and algorithms attempting to simulate the time wave, turning abstract math into interactive prophecies. Popular culture absorbed it too. Subtle nods in films, books, and music, where characters grapple with the illusion of time, their journeys mirroring the wave's peaks and troughs. Feel the wistful nostalgia in fan communities, where stories are shared like sacred texts, reinterpreting 2012 not as failure, but as a quiet shift toward heightened awareness. McKenna's legacy endures in psychedelic circles, where his advocacy for mind-expanding substances intersects with emerging research on consciousness. Imagine conference halls filled with scholars and seekers, the air humming with ideas of alternative histories, timelines where novelty accumulates not in destruction, but in profound, introspective change. Yet academia often critiques it harshly, dismissing the time wave as pseudoscience, a beautiful but flawed tapestry of speculation without empirical thread. At its core, Time Wave Zero exemplifies the eternal tension between science and spirituality, a dance of logic and mysticism in the theater of modern myth-making. Picture the push and pull, rigid equations clashing with ethereal visions, like waves crashing against ancient stones. McKenna, the alchemist of ideas, wove them together, creating a narrative that resonates even in silence. There's a sense of wistful legacy here, a lingering debate that invites us to ponder. What if the end wasn't an event, but an ongoing evolution? In quiet moments, under starlit skies, one might feel the subtle novelty building, a whisper of possibilities yet to unfold. The theory lives on, not as a prediction, but as a mirror to our collective yearning for meaning in the chaos of time.
Terence McKenna's Time Wave Zero may not have ended the world, but it certainly reshaped how we think about it. Its legacy is a testament to the power of bold ideas that challenge the boundaries of reality. But as we reflect on this enduring enigma, it's time to wrap up our journey. Next, we reach the conclusion, where we tie together the threads of mystery and meaning. As we draw this episode to a close, let's linger for a moment on the echoes of Time Wave Zero. What if the fabric of time itself is whispering secrets we've yet to fully hear? Join me in these final thoughts. Imagine the vast expanse of history not as a straight line, but as an intricate fractal, unfolding, repeating, building towards something immense. Terence McKenna's Novelty Theory paints time as a wave, cresting with innovation and plunging into habit. Time Wave Zero, his mathematical prophecy,
zeroed in on December 21, 2012, a date etched in collective memory, promising a singularity where novelty surges to infinity. But as the clock ticked past that winter solstice, the world didn't end in fire or revelation. Planes flew, cities bustled, and life trudged on. Yet the questions linger like mist in an ancient forest. Was McKenna a visionary, glimpsing the hidden architecture of consciousness? Or merely a man entranced by patterns, weaving meaning from chaos? Feel the weight of it, the cool, shadowy doubt settling over your mind, like fog rolling in from an unseen sea. Contemplate this. If time truly fractals, mirroring the small in the large, then every moment of your life echoes the universe's grand design. History becomes a symphony of rising complexity, wars, inventions, awakenings, all rushing toward an unknowable peak. Consciousness itself might be the ultimate novelty, blooming in the fertile soil of time's waves. But skeptics raise their voices, sharp as winter wind, cutting through the enchantment. They point to flawed mathematics, to the human propensity for apophenia, seeing faces in clouds, destinies in numbers. The 2012 singularity? A mirage, they say, born of psychedelic dreams and cultural hysteria. Still, the allure persists, doesn't it? That unresolved enchantment clings like the scent of rain on old stone, drawing us back to wonder. What if the wave hasn't crested yet? What if we're still climbing toward a destiny fractal and profound? In this boundary between radical insight and fallacy, we find the heart of mystery. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss of time, wind whipping your face, the roar of unseen oceans below. Emotions swirl, awe at the possibility, fear of the unknown, a quiet thrill of discovery. Are singularities fact, woven into reality's code? Fiction, spun from hopeful minds? Or something yet to be understood, lurking in the shadows of quantum possibility? The question haunts us. In the theater of existence, is time our script, or are we the authors? Let that resonate deep in your soul as the mystery unfolds.
That concludes our investigation into this mystery. I'm Tom Mackenzie. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. And remember to visit Unexplained.Co for the photos we discussed today. Until next time, keep looking for the truth.